welcome. What is your name?
My name is Jessica Conley.
Do you have a middle name?
Lee.
Okay, all right. I'm collecting middle names. Apparently, I'm asking everyone what their middle name is.
That was my mother's maiden name.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So clearly you're a rider. How did you get started cycling?
I love this question because I love everybody's answers. It's so different. And I'll say that I do not have an endurance background whatsoever. Okay. I didn't like team sports growing up. I didn't participate in them. Mm-hmm. I was very much a loner. I was like, leave me alone. I'm going to read my book and play my violin. Don't bother me. Mm-hmm. And then I got into weight training. Okay. And I really liked that. I liked the solitary experience of that. I liked that it made me feel strong. So I carried that through high school and college. Okay. I'm very competitive though, so I did like some competitions and stuff. Nice. Yeah. And I'm an impulsive person when it comes to adventure and challenges. Okay. One day I was staying at a cabin of a friend. Sure. They would let us stay over the holidays sometimes. I was staying there one Christmas. The people who owned the cabin were cyclists. Okay. And I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have any cell service. And I just picked up a book that they had in the cabin. And it was a guide to biking the Blue Ridge Parkway. Okay. And I said, that's crazy. I want to do that. Okay. So I, the next week, I bought a bike on Amazon. Okay. It was the wrong size. I didn't know what I was doing. I even thought that I have no idea what this. It didn't even occur to me to like go to a bike shop.
It never does at the start. No one knows all of that.
Said Amazon, of course. Yeah. So I bought it on Amazon, and I was expecting this bike to show up on my doorstep. And I opened the box, and it's just a bunch of bike parts. And I was like, "Oh, okay." Wow. I took it to a bike shop. And then I felt like an idiot because I was walking to a bike shop with a bunch of bikes. So I was like, can you put this bike together for me? I'd never had a fit or anything. Yeah. I did some test rides around my neighborhood, and then I rode to Chipoke in Surrey as like a test ride. Yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, these are some things that I need. And then I rode the Blue Ridge Parkway from Roanoke to almost Asheville.
Wait. So you were, okay, not just like get on the parkway, like you were going to do a series. How far was that? That's...
I want to say I did around 300 miles or so.
Okay. What's the time frame from you had the book to you did the ride?
December, and then my spring break in March. Like the last week of March. It was early enough in March that nothing on the parkway was open. Okay. So none of the campgrounds were open. None of the stores were open.
You're right. You didn't look into it.
I did it anyway.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay. It's okay. So you weren't quite going from couch potato to doing. You were still doing some kind of activity before.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's still like a lot to go from just I read a book. Yeah. And that's how you decided to go do that, which seems impulsive.
It is.
How did it go? Did you?
It was amazing. Okay. It was so amazing. I didn't want to do it with anybody, and I didn't ask anybody. I didn't know anybody else who rode. Okay. My husband is super supportive, and I'm very lucky that he was like, sure. And all my friends were like, what? That's insane. But I did not nearly have the kind of equipment that one would want for a bike packing experience. I think to some extent it worked well that I didn't know what I was getting into. Okay. But I'm kind of surprised that I got back on the bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would imagine that being like one of the first big rides. Like that would be amazing to have that be like a ride that you go out and do on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
And I didn't do much camping before then. Like I bought a tent for it. I know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But you made it, and you've since been back to the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. You made it. That's definitely different than the others, because everyone else was like an event. They knew someone. They were getting healthy. Not they read it in a book and decided to go out and go do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that got you out, to riding around. You do the Blue Ridge Parkway. So like, what was the next thing? Like, what was next after you did the Blue Ridge Parkway?
I started having back problems with this bike that was way too big for me.
Okay, sure.
I ended up going to Carytown Bikes, and I bought a Salsavaya steel touring specific bike because I wanted to keep touring. Okay. I bought some like nicer panniers, some nicer camping equipment. Mm-hmm. I bought a sleeping pad. Okay. I didn't realize that it keeps you warm.
Ah, yeah.
It was very cold. My first tour. And very uncomfortable. I also bought a stove because I didn't have a stove for my first bike packing tour. I literally like went to Kroger and like bought a box of like Cliff Bars and like a couple jars of peanut butter and some crackers. And every single meal I ate like multiple Cliff Bars and like peanut butter out of a spoon.
Oh, you were roughing it.
Yeah, I was like super duper. Like I didn't know what I was doing. Okay. So I bought a Salsavaya. Yeah. I was doing some more tours. I did the C&O Canal. Really enjoyed that. And I was doing a lot of riding just by myself. Okay. And my dad is a cyclist. Okay. And he was concerned for my safety. He said, you're always doing all these things by yourself. You should go and ride with other people or at least try it out. Yeah. And I thought it wasn't for me. I thought the people doing group rides with their tight team kit, like, no, that wasn't me. Okay. But I was working in Prince George at the time. Okay. And figured, I'll do a Google search and see what's out there. And Rabba at the time was doing group rides from Prince George Courthouse with some guys. And I would show up every week with my steel bike, the rack still on them for touring. So like even my front bag, like 2.5-inch tires. I rolled up every week and they're like, who is this chick? Slow them down. Yeah.
Were they welcoming? Do you think
they were knowing what I know now, they were so nice to me. I mean, they would pick fun at me. I had this front bag on the handlebars that looked like a lunchbox, and they'd always make jokes that I didn't bring them beer in my lunchbox. Yeah.
Okay, so you start doing some group rides. Did you feel like that was like, this seems good, this seems cool, or did you still like, I still want to ride on my own?
I still love riding by myself. Okay. I really do love riding by myself, but I didn't realize how much I would love riding with other people. Mm-hmm. And it gave me a challenge that I really enjoyed. I would go home so beat, though. Yeah. Oh, man. A 25-mile ride on my bike that probably, with all the stuff I had on it, weighed around 30 pounds. Okay. Trying to sit in a pace line, trying to do my own work. I mean, I would go home and my average heart rate would be like 180 and my entire body would just be shaky. I'd be covered in like a layer of salt from the sweat. Like, it was so intense for me. But I love that kind of thing. Okay. So it didn't discourage me at all.
Okay. All right. So you weren't expecting, and I don't think anyone does expect that, like, they're going to enjoy group riding until they do, and then they meet people and that kind of thing. So, they don't ride out of Prince George County.
They don't. Okay. No, the group got smaller and smaller. Okay. And then it would be me and Jason and Stefan, and I started a job in Richmond. Mm-hmm. But I think even before that, the group just dwindled so much.
Yeah.
They weren't maintaining it. Jason went back to running, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
That seems to happen. People going to running or coming from running. Okay, so you got into the group riding. When was this? What year was this?
This was.
When did the Blue Ridge Parkway happen, and then when did those Prince George?
All of this was 2016.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay, that's pretty good progression. All right. So the group kind of dwindled a bit. Okay. Were you able to? Did you just like find other rides? Like, what was the next like group ride you started showing up at regularly?
Because that ride wasn't going on, I would rush home and do the Laurel Park ride.
Mm-hmm. BDR, yeah, BDR. It's a good ride. Okay. So that got you into group riding.
Mm-hmm.
So you were enjoying it. When did you start like wanting to push yourself and go faster, kind of thing? Were you just like doing the group rides and just like, I'm just trying to maintain with the group? Did you ever think like, I want to average 21 for this ride. I want to average 20 for this ride. Like, when did that ever happen?
It did surprise me when I started averaging higher. Late 2016, I got probably Christmas of 2016. So a full year after I decided, okay, I want to ride a bike. I got a road bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was incredible. The difference. And then I would do group rides, and I have a tendency to want to like spice things up a little bit. And I don't always start it. It's not my fault, but sometimes I do maybe. But other times I see somebody go and I can't not.
Right, yeah, right.
I have to go.
Chase, yeah.
And I want to respect the ride. So I don't want I don't want to go to a group ride and disrespect the pace. So I was searching for something that would be a little more appropriate for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you would attack on the coffee rides, it sounds like.
I mean, I would respond to an attack on a coffee ride.
Okay. Okay. So this is, in 2016, you start realizing you're picking up speed. You got a nice road bike into that year. Okay. So I know you've done some racing. When did you go from like, I'm still doing group rides, I'm moving faster, I'm attacking every so often, to I'm going to race? Like, when did that, like, how did the progression go into like actually racing?
I can't remember why I chose duathlon, but I started with duathlon. I was listening to a lot of cycling podcasts, so it might have come up, and I was like, that's weird. I don't know what that is. Yeah. I want to do it.
Okay.
I hate running, so that didn't work out very well. How
many did you do?
I want to say I did 2.
Okay.
I did one in North Carolina. I did one in Virginia.
Okay.
And I am such a slow runner. I mean, it took me years to get to a sub 60-minute 10K.
Okay.
I just don't have the stride for it.
Okay.
And I'm very much I'm a slow walker. I'm more of like, I would rather go lift weights than go for a jog.
Okay.
I don't have I probably could train very specifically for that, but it would remove a lot of other things that I would have to wholly focus on it to be better at it. It doesn't come naturally to me at all.
Okay.
So was not good at that whatsoever. And then I was like, okay, well, why don't I take out one of the runs and do a triathlon? I didn't know how to swim, so I was like,
okay.
I don't know if this is going to be better or worse. But I have to do it. So I started taking swim lessons at the Y.
Okay.
My mom was a swimmer, very collegiate swimmer, state champion. She was amazing.
Okay.
So I knew how to tread water. right? I don't like disown my mom. Like, but it was like a very bad doggy paddle across the pool.
Okay.
So I learned how to like do a stroke.
Okay.
And I signed up for a sprint triathlon that I believe Endorphin Fitness was putting on the following. I mean, I trained almost a year for this triathlon.
Okay. What was the sprint triathlon? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I never understand why in a sprint triathlon, the run feels like the longest part of it. The bike, it doesn't even take that long.
Right.
And it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
In terms of the amount of stress it puts on your body.
The run with the bike.
The bike.
The bike, yeah.
But it's
not that long.
Like comparatively, I feel like the distance is so short on the bike compared to the run. But anyway, I did this triathlon. I was literally the last person out of the water. The boats were waiting on me.
But you got out of the water.
I got out of the water.
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah.
I was like, I made it. I made it from one end, from this like lake to the other end of this lake. And then I got on the bike, and actually had a pretty competitive bike.
Okay.
And then I'm just like such a mediocre, poor runner. But then when I was looking at my numbers at the end, last one in the swim, very middle pack on the run, but it beat almost everybody on the bike. And I was like,
nice.
There's something to the bike here.
Yeah.
I need to stick with the bike. And then that's when I switched fully to bike racing. I was like, I don't want to mess with all this other stuff anymore.
Did you prepare for your first bike race, or did you just show up?
No. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how to prepare. Carytown was doing, I can't remember what the year this was. It might have been, maybe it was 2018 at this point.
Okay.
And they had a snow cone race, which is like February.
Okay.
It's a training race.
Okay.
Kind of like Bryan Park, but before the road season begins.
Okay.
I showed up. They gave me a number. I didn't know what to do with the number. Like, what is this? Why are you giving me this number? I don't know what to do. So I thought I put it on right. I did not put this number on right. No, it was like upside down and backwards. I think I like put it on like standing. You're looking at it.
Okay.
On the wrong.
Right. They want you on the right side.
Just not good.
Okay. So you're doing things in cycling. Had you met people that also rode that you mentioned if you were going to do some of these things? Like, did anyone say like maybe you should try this or that, or you were just still doing solo and just impulsively making those decisions?
I probably was not asking people. I probably could have. I think at that point I knew enough people who rode bikes and might have raced before then that I could have sat down and asked for advice. I'm not sure I really cared how I did.
Okay.
So it didn't matter to me.
Okay.
And it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
In my mind at the time, maybe I thought it wouldn't have changed my experience because I just wanted to experience
you just wanted to be in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did the race go?
I have no idea. It was terrible. I mean, I got dropped on there's a U-turn on that course.
Okay.
Pretty early on.
Yeah. Yeah. Not fond of U-turns on a bike.
And my fitness was not that good.
Okay.
I don't know if there were any other women that day.
Okay.
So it was me and everybody who's excited for the road race season to start.
Yeah. Okay. So you wanted to participate.
Yeah.
You weren't aiming to like, I'm going to crush every. It's just, I want to participate.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. And you say that's about 2018. You did the snow cone race. Okay. So do you keep racing? Like what's the progression? Or do you just like, well, of course you kept racing.
Yes. That's when that winter was the winter where Rabba was sending out an email, and I got the email that said there's a discount code if you want to go to Sweet Spot Cycling if you're a Rabba member. I was like, ooh, discount.
I remember that. Yep.
So I definitely went immediately to the website and put in the Rabba discount and got my slot at Sweet Spot Studio so I could do a workout.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't the first class I did, I think there was like ice on the road or something. And I didn't have a trainer. I didn't have any kind of setup like that.
Okay.
So it was perfect. I went in. Aaron Whitwer, the Sweet Spot Studio owner, immediately asks you questions about like, what kind of rider are you? So that she can put in information so that the workout was specific to your fitness ability.
Okay.
Have you done this before?
No, but I've been to the studio before, and of course I know who Aaron is. So
yeah. It's very much like if Zwift did it by percentage of your FTP. If every does Zwift do like group workouts where they do it based on percentage of FTP?
Yes. So so the workouts, if you put your FTP, well, you have to have your FTP in there. It will adjust the wattage that you need to put out based on what your FTP is. So
So it's exactly like that in the studio. So everybody would have their FTP in the computer, and we all do the same workout.
Okay. Nice.
So I was answering these questions. I had never done an FTP test. I didn't know what watts were. So she's asking me questions, and I just am going off of mileage. And then we start the workout, and she sits next to me on the bike, and she keeps pushing the little plus button like, okay, what's going on? You need to race bikes. So I was like, okay. And so I did the Carytown one, and then she was like, you did the Carytown race and didn't tell me? I said, yeah. She's like, we need to talk. So we talked a little more. I did some rides with the team. I joined the team. And then I plan to do a few of the road races that Virginia Cycling put on that spring and summer. I can't remember what my first one was, but I know I did a couple of crits.
Okay.
One road race, and then I did the Bryant Park Series that year.
Okay. Now, so then you got into races where did you push yourself? I mean, clearly, I guess you assume you push yourself. You showed up for those races, and you went in with trying to get a good place. It was no longer just, I just want to be in the race at that point.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I knew what a race was like, when that whistle I can't decide to have a chill race.
Okay.
That's it. Like, it's all in. That whistle, like, I'm racing my bike. Yeah. Okay. I am definitely the kind of racer that would rather have an exciting, attacky race than sit in and be efficient and make smart moves and maybe win. So in that way, like, I wasn't necessarily like, I want to win this race. I was more like, I want to race my bike.
Yeah.
So just like going for every move, doing like things that were not smart racing, but were fun for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'm glad that you got to enjoy the racing. Whether it was the most efficient technique or not.
Yeah, no.
So when you showed up you hadn't done any kind of indoor riding, and you show up to, I can't remember, I don't know if it's CompuTrainer she had in there or not.
Yeah.
How did it feel like doing the spin class or doing the training indoors with other people? Like, did that feel out of place? Was just like, I can get it? Like, did you just easily transition into training, doing actual like workouts and structured? Because that's not impulsive once you start training.
Yeah, I did well in the studio.
Okay.
And kept going to the studio.
Okay.
A little bit after that, a friend of mine she used to do triathlon and she wasn't doing it anymore. She didn't want to train, but she had a old trainer. Okay. And she just gave it to me. Nice. It's not a smart trainer. It's a wheel off though. Okay. It's an old Le Mans.
I don't even know that brand. Okay.
So what I was able to do is just take a cassette off one of my bike wheels and put that on so that I could do the wheel on and have the shifting work with whatever bike I put on the trainer. And I tried a few times to do a workout on my own, but I didn't have anything to go off of.
Yeah.
I was not motivated, and I didn't have a power meter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So because it wasn't a smart trainer, you're just spinning your legs. You're not able to see speed. You're not able to, it's just perceived effort.
Yeah.
And by yourself, going off of just perceived effort it's just a joke for me.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything for me. So I really struggled with that and didn't do that at all.
Okay. But you can stick to being in the class with others. Okay. All right. Do you have a smart trainer now?
I have the same trainer.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still find it as a struggle to ride on this trainer? Oh, really? Okay. So now you can do it. Okay.
I have power pedals.
Okay.
So what I do is I keep my steel bike on the trainer because I have the cassette for that on there, and I don't have to worry about putting the bike on there because it's a wheel off. I would worry about a carbon bike on there doing sprints on the trainer and stuff. Yeah. So I have this also on there, and what I do is I take my power pedals and swap them to whatever bike I'm using. So if I know I'm going to ride the trainer, I put the pedals on there, and then I do attach like my Garmin head unit, and Aaron coaches me and sends me makes workouts for me, and I put them on my Garmin.
Okay.
So I'm doing the workout and have a specific number I need to get to, and for me that's very motivating.
Okay. So just having the numbers there is enough. Okay. What kind of power meter pedals do you have?
I have the Varia or the Garmin Vector.
Vector. Did they have the 2 with the little pod hanging off of them, or the 3? So you've gone up to the 3.
3, and it's one side.
Okay. All right. Yep. Cool. Okay. All right. Just curious. I use the Asiamo Duo pedals. Favaro Asiamo Duo pedals. Duo is because it's 2-sided. Uno would be the 1-sided. And I would also swap them out from the outdoor bike to the indoor bike because power meter pedals.
Yeah. So convenient.
They were great. It was great. Yeah. But no longer. Kicker bike takes care of all that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fancy
toy. Leading enough Zwift rides. Okay. The training happened. Are you still, you're still doing group rides though, right? You're still occasionally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. When you started and you got on the parkway, or when you read this book in the cabin, did you think that things would progress and you would be racing?
There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way.
You still bikepacking? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I love bikepacking.
What's something you take with you now? What's something you would have wanted to tell yourself, doing that first bikepacking trip, that you regularly do now, something you'd want to pass on to yourself, for that first backpacking trip?
Oh, there's so many things. There are so many things that I would have told myself to add to that list. The stove. Right. Yep. So by the third day, I was by myself, but I got to the part of the parkway before Asheville that's near Mount Mitchell. Okay. And they close the parkway when the weather is bad or if the roads are icy. Mm-hmm. I did not know this. I also didn't know that there's a very convenient app website that tells you what sections of the parkway are closed. So I get there and it's closed and I'm like, oh, I don't have any route situation. I don't know what to do. And this car comes up on the parkway. They're touring just each of the pullouts. Yeah. To do look and take pictures and then drive back down. Yeah. They get out. They see that I'm having a panic attack. Their instinct is to offer me food because they see I've been camping. Yeah. They offer me a Cliff Bar. I just look at them and that is the last thing I ever want to eat again in my life. Do not it was very hard for me to politely say, no, thank you. I do not want that Cliff Bar. So definitely a stove. Okay. Or more of a variety. And then the sleeping pad is key. Yeah. I brought a towel. It was just like not enough. And then I was also doing this thing where I just roll up my dirty laundry and use it as a pillow. I like my pillow now. Yeah. I have like a little inflatable pillow. It's not, it doesn't take up that much space. It's not that heavy. It's so much nicer than dirty clothes. And then I would say there's so many things in that list that I just, I've gone, even the stuff that I had then over the course of time, I've gotten lighter versions of a lot of the gear. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that that's something I should have had originally.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully everyone kind of upgrades. Stuff works and they figure out they can get a better version of once they figure out this is a committed, they're committed to this insanity of cycling everywhere. What are your snacks? Like, what do you take? So it's clearly Cliff Bars. Are they still in the...
I'm okay with eating them now, but it really depends on what I'm doing. Okay. So I have very different kinds of eating for different kinds of riding. If I'm on a bike tour, I'll eat anything because I just need to get as many calories as possible. Sure. I like to sit down and eat a meal somewhere. The longer the ride, the more junk food it involves normally. Right? You show up at a rest stop after 60 miles and like it's been 7 hours. Yeah. Like I'm eating a bunch of junk food.
Yeah.
But if it's a longer ride, but not bike packing, I might eat some more solid food or like a banana or a Cliff Bar in addition to some gels.
Okay.
And then I really like Stroop waffles. And if I'm doing a workout, it's just really easily digestible foods like gels or blocks.
Okay. All right. Are you getting the Honey Stinger Stroop waffles or are you getting some other brand?
No, I just get like the German Stroop waffle.
Okay, some normal Stroop waffles. What's your junk food of choice? If you're out there, you go to a convenience store, like what's the thing you look for?
Strawberry Pop-Tart.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's a solid choice. It's a dry choice, but it's a solid choice.
Yeah, I mean, the crumbly foods are not amazing while you're like riding. Yeah. But if you're going to stop for a minute and eat something, the crumbles aren't as big of a deal.
Both Pop-Tarts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You take them with you.
Both.
I would do the Honey Stinger Stroop waffles, which are amazingly delicious. The different flavors they have in there, which almost seems impractical because but they would crumble so much that I couldn't, you couldn't do them while riding and pull them out and open, like, so they have to, I would only eat them when stopped. Because who wants crumbs in the back pocket, which stay in there when they get washed and that kind of thing. Do you have a Garmin bike computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you look at your, like, so you've done your rides, do you look at your ride data after? Do you, like, are you critical of your ride data? What's your relationship with, like, tracking your ride data? Or maybe not.
I track my data with my workouts.
Okay.
So I love workouts.
Okay.
I look at all the workouts I have planned for the week and, like, get psyched for certain ones and prepare mentally for other ones.
Okay.
And then once I finish a workout, I want to know, like, did I hit that workout?
Okay.
Did I do a good job? So, yeah. To what extent that's healthy? Yeah, I analyze my workout data, but that's it. I don't really do that with anything else.
That's not unhealthy. I mean, it could get unhealthy. Clearly, you need to go too far, but like, because you have the data, why not look at it and see if you hit the marks that were kind of set like that? That seems fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I'm justifying your addiction. Do you take your bike with you on your vacations?
Yes.
Okay. How does your significant other feel about you taking the bikes?
We usually take, he's not an avid rider, John, but he will ride with me if I choose a path that's in a city. So when we went to New England over the summer, for example, we stayed in Boston for a little bit and I found the Emerald Necklace Trail, which goes through some of the parks, and we did that together and that was really fun.
Nice.
Or find a a bike path or a trail, he'll do that with me.
Okay.
He does a little more Zwift.
Okay.
Just to work out, and he doesn't like being on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, doesn't really cycle.
Okay.
I will bring it so that I can do a couple of rides with him, and then depending on what bike I bring, if I have like the road bike, I'll find like a group ride that's happening out of a shop.
Okay.
Or if I have my gravel bike, I'll go on various shop websites and map my ride in Garmin and find out some routes.
Nice. Okay.
And just save them and go on them on my own just early in the morning.
Okay. What's your gravel bike? What brand is that?
I have an Orbea Terra.
Okay.
And then I have my cross bike.
Okay.
Which is, this is my new bike. This is my new baby. This is an Irish.
I've not heard of that brand. Okay.
So it's out of a guy in North Carolina.
Okay.
Irish bikes. One of my teammates, Sharon, supports him, and I like supporting local. And he makes the bikes. So I get like to customize it, and I love doing that. So
nice. Okay.
It's very cross specific.
Okay.
And I knew that if I was going to buy another bike after my gravel bike, I wanted it to be very, very cross specific.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that can make sense. So how many cross races have you done?
I don't know. This is the end of my third season.
Okay. Two questions of preferences. Do you have a type of race that you prefer over others? Because you've done cross and you've done like road races. Like, is there a preference? Like, you love the road races and the cross, you just like, you like them. Like, is there a difference?
Oh, yes. Okay. There's a very big difference. So road races are boring. Okay. Crits are exciting, but make me nervous.
Sure. Yeah, I see that.
And I love everything about cyclocross.
Really?
Absolutely. That is my jam. I love it very much. So I definitely consider myself a cyclocross racer.
Okay.
I do the other things just to mix it up. Okay. I love racing with my team.
Okay.
So if I had a teammate that was like, I really want to do this road race, I'd be like, ugh, okay. I'll do it because I want to race with you.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So does that also apply with your bikes you ride between the gravel, the cyclocross, and the road bike? Is the preference you like doing the cycle? Well, I guess, yeah, it's a different kind of ride. So I guess you prefer the cyclocross ride because of cyclocross.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would even rather be on my cross bike for a group ride.
Okay.
Like, I want a group ride that's just gonna like go on an adventure. Not many people are like up for that. Because
Okay.
every time that happens to me on a road group ride and like something unexpected happens, people are like, "What is happening right now? This is not the ride that was planned." Yeah. There's at least one or two people who are very like thrown off, and I'm like, "This is so much
fun." Yeah. I mean, you've got to get home. You've got other stuff that you were planning to do 30 miles. You're not trying to go and do 50 miles now, you know?
Yeah.
Do you try to get the route ahead of time, or you just follow the group? Like, before you show up a group ride, are you the type, I need to have the route ahead of time?
I like having the route.
Okay.
Depending on the ride, I like going to a ride and doing an equal amount of work. Mm-hmm. I would rather be dropped than try to hang on.
Okay.
So I always have the route for that reason. And then if we're going to be in the woods, I think it's just smart to...
No,
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I definitely prefer to have the route. Or it needs to be a route that I know very well. Like, we're going up to Ashland and we're coming back, and I know those roads kind of thing. Do you have an area around Richmond that you really like to ride? I mean, because
I would rather drive to a ride and do something different and exciting.
Okay.
But that's not practical all the time.
Yeah.
So
it's limited time.
If it's a weekday, I just pick something that works for my workout.
Okay.
So if I have this kind of workout, I'm going to this area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to like easily get fit your workouts into outdoor road rides? Or do you find
most of the time?
Okay.
Sometimes I look at the workout and I say this would be better for a trainer. I just do it on the trainer.
Okay. I would think they would all be better for the trainer, mostly.
Not sprints.
Okay.
Especially because I'm still working on my posture and like the way that you attack and the way you put your body.
It's not the same on the trainer. Yeah.
And the way that you feel, the kind of give.
Yeah.
The way you hold the handlebars, getting used to being in my drops. All of those are things that
you can't simulate indoors.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I would not know anything about that as I am mostly an indoor rider at this point in time. Okay. So we made it through almost all of 2021 and we survived 2020 and the pandemic. How did the pandemic like affect your cycle, or did it have any kind of impact on your training or group rides, or like was there any kind of impact from like March 2020 and all that fell after?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't feel comfortable being out on the road for a lot of reasons. Getting COVID was terrifying for me. And then even the idea of getting hurt and having to go to the doctor, I was like, I don't want to go outside. So I joined Zwift.
Okay.
Some of my teammates were already doing a lot of Zwift. Even race Zwift.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll do that. Why not?
Yeah. Sure.
And at first there were things I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah. It
was motivating, especially when I was doing all my miles indoors for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, doing 700-800 miles a month on a trainer was a lot. So Zwift was nice in that way and helped me feel like I was still a part of a community. Once I realized that people on smart trainers have a different experience on Zwift than I was having, it frustrated me a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then I was really lucky in that. So the Orbea Terra that I have, my gravel bike.
Yeah.
I ordered that in November 2018. I got it in February of 2020.
That's a 4-month wait?
Well, it was custom.
Oh, okay.
Plus, it was hung up in Portugal for a little while, I think because of COVID in January.
Sure, yeah.
Part of the delay was because of COVID.
Okay.
And I was lucky to have gotten it right in February.
Yeah.
Did a little bit with it, did Monster Cross with it, and then during lockdown, I would pick one day a week, and I found the Charlottesville gravel list, which is a really nice list. Their website is really good. Charlottesville Racing Club, or I don't even know if they call it a racing club, but the Charlottesville Bike Club has a list of gravel routes, and they have maps, and they have GPX routes. And so I went down and did every single one on the list. Every weekend I would go out and do another one.
Yeah.
That was another change for me. So I did gravel riding, a lot of solo riding. And then I didn't have a cross season, so that was really it. It was just solo riding, gravel riding pretty much all year. Yeah.
Okay. You got a gravel bike. So wait, you had your touring bike, right? Your touring bike. You got a nice road bike. Then the cyclocross bike.
Yes, that's like only a few months old. Like at the beginning of this season.
Oh, the cyclocross one is the newest. Okay. Yeah. So you got the nice road bike and then the gravel bike.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know what you wanted to do with the gravel bike? Like, did you know you were going to do off-road stuff? Like,
I thought originally that the gravel bike would be able to be a bike that I could use for trying out gravel and doing cyclocross.
Okay.
Because I was borrowing Sharon, my teammate's cross bike.
Okay. Okay.
So I needed to buy my own bike, and I was like, well, I'll buy a gravel bike and I'll use it for both.
Okay.
I got the gravel bike. I realized how different gravel and cross are.
Okay.
And I said, I love gravel riding and racing, but this is not a cross bike.
Okay.
They're very, you wouldn't expect them to be, or at least I didn't expect them to be so different. But riding both of those things and riding both of those kinds of terrain made me realize these are different things and need different bikes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's why they exist, because there's some variance in there.
Yeah.
The geometry, I believe.
Yeah. The geometry, even the cross bike is more responsive to something if I need to make like a tight turn or if I want to like make a quick move.
Okay.
It feels better lifting it when I have to dismount and then go over an obstacle.
Okay.
Versus my gravel bike feels much more stable.
Okay.
And more comfortable. Okay. But is kind of more awkward to carry
go over
and
to move around. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I would not. Hopefully, I will get to. I'm hoping to get a gravel bike soon.
What are you looking at?
I'm a bit torn because availability affects what I might purchase. Originally, I thought I'd get the Canyon Grizzle, which it's a newer bike by Canyon, but it has bigger tires. It's like 45 millimeter tires on there. But it's got mounts on it. It's got mounting. I don't actually know. It's got lots of mounts on it, and I've already got my other bike is a Canyon. So, and they have a good bang for the buck for their pricing for their stuff. But it's out of stock until January, February-ish. Yeah. But I have concerns about how wide the tires are because they're 45 millimeters, whereas I know some gravel bikes are like 30, 35 kind of thing. So I may get a Trek Checkpoint. Yeah, SL5, whenever they come in stock. But everything is just out of stock. So like it may just be whatever comes available. And then that's the thing that I end up going with. So yeah, that's the hope.
Are you going to just do gravel, or are you thinking about bike packing too?
I want to get a bike that would allow me to do some, I'm going to say allowed to do bike
packing. Are they
packing.
carbon?
It would be carbon.
Both of them?
Yes. The ones I've looked at are carbon so far.
So one thing that I've realized with my Orbea Terra, which I'm doing bike packing on now, is that the carbon fork is more limiting in terms of the kinds of weight setup you can do. Okay. So something to consider if you have a carbon fork, the recommendation is that you don't put a lot of weight on it. Okay. Also, you would want to look at the bolt mounting options. So some bikes will have bolts on the fork so that you can add a rack or add like a fork bag. Okay. Yep. If you have a carbon fork with no bolt mount options, you can't do that. That's something I encountered when I was trying to shift I tried to transition from my Salsavaya to my Orbea Terra, thinking I would be able to use a lot of the gear that I already had. Yeah. No. Okay. So bought a lot of new things because of that. Okay. It made me have to be a little more creative with where I put bags and racks. I figured out something that works okay for me, but if I wanted more flexibility, I probably would have looked at fork and like bolt or like did some Googling in terms of looking at blogs of bike packers with that particular bike. There's a lot of blogs that will highlight like Trans-American races or races. Can't remember the name of the one that goes from Canada down to like New Mexico. Oh, I don't know. Or Texas. Yeah. There's one that goes north-south like that. Okay. And then just looking at for each year the racers, how they're highlighting like each racer's bike.
Okay.
Even if you're not going to race, looking at their setup.
Right.
So the people who have this bike, what is their setup?
Yeah.
The people who have this canyon, what is their setup?
Okay.
To see what kind of options there are if you ever want to bike pack. Because I didn't think that I'd be bike packing on the Orbea Terra, but now that I am, I realize like it's probably not the most ideal bike for that.
Okay. This Canyon Grizzle is a double check. It does have fork mounts. Okay. It does have fork mounts. It's got a top tube mount. I think it's got another mount. It's got like it's got like some fittings for mud flaps. It's custom mud flap fitting, but it does have fork mounts, which is while I have like limited to no knowledge of bike packing, I was thinking of I'd rather get a bike that has the mounts already there as opposed to having to retrofit something. But I don't know how deep I will get into that. Like I don't know. I like the idea of getting a gravel bike, even if I just do gravel rides. It's just I go out and go for a day. But I like the idea of bike packing. But it's a world I have no knowledge of. So I may go read some books or talk to some people. I'm sure as I talk to more people doing this podcast, there will be other people talk about bike packing. For someone who's interested in bike packing, what tips do you have? Like if someone says like, I think I'm interested in bike packing, like what would you share? Because clearly I would be listening. So.
My tips would be to read.
Okay.
Read some blogs, read some memoirs, and then think about what kind of experience you want. Do you want something on the road, like the Parkway? Or do you want something that is more flexible and flat and chill, which would be the C&O Canal? Okay. That's a great one for beginner bike packing. I still love the C&O Canal, but it's so easy to plan a trip because there's free camping every 5 miles or so. And the terrain is so flat that it doesn't really matter if you have too much weight. Okay. So some people with their first trip, they have way too little stuff. Yeah. Some people on their first trip, they have way too much stuff. But really, it kind of, when the terrain is flat, once you get rolling and you have some momentum, all that stuff is just going to move with you. Nice. So it's not a big deal versus if you start on the Parkway because you want a road experience. Yeah. You got to carry all that stuff up a mountain.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd start there.
And it's beautiful and rewarding. It's really hard.
I don't think I would. I would not make that the first go. I would not make my bikepacking trip up mounts. I would make it the easiest terrain possible and then figure out, do I really want to do this? I think I would be very happy with a gravel bike, but the bike packing, there's a chance I'm like, nope, I don't want to camp at all. So,
well, a lot of people do bike packing and call it bike packing and stay at Airbnbs or, to Surrey and back and staying at Chipokes, going from starting in Richmond, staying Chipokes and going back is a great test ride. It's only 2 days, you can make it. It's no big deal. Or even I did one this summer where I did the Greenbrier River Trail. Okay. And started in one end on the north side, which is near like Snowshoe. Okay. And then went south and then stayed at a hotel and then went back up the next day. And I mean, like, maybe that's bike packing. I don't know. I brought a bag with me.
You had a bag. It had stuff in it. I think that might count as bike packing. That's bike packing light.
It's not bike camping.
Yeah, it's not bike camping. That's different. I think I'd possibly, at some point, as much as I've done the trail to gone all the way down to Williamsburg, at some point I'm going to stay in Williamsburg and just go ride down, stay there for the weekend or something and come back. I keep talking about doing it, but then I'm just going to do the whole thing and just come back. But that'll be likely how that plays out at first, is that I've never ridden somewhere, stayed the night, and then came back. There was a plan for a group of us to ride to Virginia Beach. We're going to ride to Virginia Beach from Richmond and stay for the weekend and then ride back. We're going to go down, I think, on a Friday morning and come back on the Sunday. But we're going to do it in April, which I don't think is a great time because it ends up like there's always thunderstorms or bad weather or something like that. So every year we've not done it. One year we were going to go one year we were going to go, and it was like a hurricane or something like that. And it was really windy, and we like had our bags packed. Somebody's kid was going to take our luggage down for us.
Oh, wow.
We like start messaging each other at like 4 a.m. and like, do we really want to do this? Like, we knew it was going to be bad. And then we go over to our friend's house who lives over near Rockets in the morning. It's like 5 a.m. And we're like, guys, do we really want to do this? And Josh, you know Josh Silverman? Mm-hmm. Josh, I think Josh says, what's the weather like in Kitty Hawk? And so we look at the weather in Kitty Hawk and we're like, yeah, we'll just do that. So we drive down to Kitty Hawk, and then we go rode around there. And it was great. We did like 50 miles down there because we still had a house we rented in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
So it was just, we didn't feel it was a wise idea to do the 120 some miles in the wind and rain. Went to Virginia Beach. Went straight to Virginia Beach. I think we went to eat in Williamsburg first. We then went to Virginia Beach and then stayed there. But not bike camping. We stayed at a nice house on the beach and then rode around, did a century there, and then came back to Williamsburg. We came back to Jamestown, and there's a little trail that goes around a park or near the water, near the Jamestown Settlement Center.
Okay.
It was extremely windy, and I think we rode like 5 miles and we said, we're done. Like, it was that windy.
Oh, wow.
Because we were super committed about riding, but like we did a few miles and we're like, yeah, we're good. We're not riding in this. Either way. So I'd like to do some serious bike packing, but it seems to get thwarted every time the idea comes up. But hopefully the gravel bike will enable that or enable me more when that happens. So, but I will be looking for tips when that happens. So someone who may be interested in riding, starting, like, what's something you would want to like share with someone who's like just starting? Like,
I don't know that I am the best person for a new bike. I don't know that because I am one.
Whatever it is, even if it's like go race, like whatever it is.
I would say to have fun and not take it too seriously. Have a good sense of humor.
Okay.
Because the times where I did that, I had really good experiences, whatever happened.
Yeah.
I would probably stick with that and just hold back and let them have the experience on the bike that they want to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, jumping around here, you clearly didn't just learn how to ride a bike and then decide to go into Blue Ridge Parkway. So you knew how to ride a bike before that, right?
I mean,
just pedal.
Yeah.
Okay. All
yeah.
Right. What is your earliest memory of riding a bike? What are one of your earliest memories of actually riding a bicycle?
Elementary school. I lived really close to the elementary school that I went to.
Okay.
I rode my bike to school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Like all the time or just like
yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
My parents were very hands off.
Okay.
I just rode my bike to school. I rode home or rode to a friend's house. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. That's a first. I mean, I've not actually known anyone who rode their bike to school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't think, not grade school. College, yes. Grade school, no. I've not known anyone.
Middle school and high school, I lived too far away.
Okay.
So I didn't really ride my bike.
But elementary school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lived down the street. So.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Okay. So riding to school. Who taught you how to ride a bike?
My parents.
Okay.
I don't really remember. I know there's a video somewhere.
They've got video evidence of
I'm sure there's a home video of me riding my bike. I saw it at one point, but I don't remember it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like to ask those first biking experiences. I'm going to encounter someone who didn't ride until they were an adult, but most everyone so far is like they started when they were a kid. What's something like, you have anything you just like to share in general about cycling? Because people are going to hear this. It's going to be preserved forever.
Anything about cycling?
Anything.
Oh gosh, I don't know. That's so broad. I mean, I could talk about so many bike things, but I mean, right now and this year, what's probably most exciting for me is being on a women's team and the experiences of just jumping into whatever crazy gravel or cross race.
Yeah.
I love being on a team and would highly recommend it to anybody who is interested in being a part of a community or racing.
Yeah.
Because there's so much good advice that you get from people around you compared to when I was just doing whatever. I still definitely do whatever, but but yeah, I mean, some of the more recent events that I've done. So like this year, like most savage race. Okay, so Grusk this year.
Grusk?
Like Grusk. Okay. Grusk. It's in West Virginia. They've been doing it for a while, but it's the gravel race up Spruce Knob.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And they have a variety of distances. So you can just do Spruce Knob. You can add on miles. So, of course, I found the longest distance, which is 213 miles, 20,000 feet of climbing.
Okay.
And it was a bike packing route that they had added. And I don't think that they had done the bike packing routes beforehand.
Okay.
But I think some of the organizers had done the pieces of the route that they made.
Okay.
Because it's an adventure-centric place that they begin at.
Okay.
That was insane.
And that was a race.
It was a race. I did not race that race.
Okay. Okay.
I survived that race.
That's a lot.
So you could choose how many days you wanted to do it in, but you had to choose ahead of time. So if you wanted to do it in 3 days, then you start like 3 days before the last day.
Okay.
So that everybody's finishing on the same day.
Okay, sure.
If you want to do it in 2 days, you start 2 days before.
Okay.
Some people did it in 1 day. Some people did the 213 miles of gravel with 20,000 feet of climbing under 24 hours. And I was like, I didn't even know this existed.
Right, yeah.
It just like blew my mind on every level.
That's a lot.
But I did it in 2 days. And the first day, it rained for 50 miles. At the beginning. So I got up at like 4 a.m. and started. And by 5 a.m., it was just pouring.
Aww.
And I was carrying a lot of gear because I was going to do like some minimalist camping.
Yeah.
And the first day, I wouldn't have any aid, really.
Okay.
There was there was going to be a spot that I didn't want to rely on, but I knew might have food kind of situation.
Not Cliff Bars.
Because it wasn't the event day. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the main day where people who were doing the Grusk event would have aid stations. Okay. This was more at like the mercy of maybe a kind person who put food out in front of their house along the course. Okay. So I was carrying a bit of food and water and some camping gear, and I did 135 miles of gravel and single track and rain and
the first day.
I mean, yeah, there were like the rocks. There were so many rocks, and and I remember the event coordinator. Like part of this is all my fault. So I look at an event and when I see like a big red triangle where they're like, caution, warning, I'm like, oh, that's totally an exaggeration. So people don't like do something stupid. I was like, oh, it's probably not gonna be a big deal. There's a little bit of single track. I do single track on my gravel bike. It's fine. Yeah, no. And then like the rock situation, I was like, it's fine. I'll ride on my 33s. It's totally fine.
my God. Okay.
So I do all this on my 33 tires. I mean, that single track was like, I had to dismount and walk quite a bit of it. Plus it was raining. So it's like slippery rocks in the rain. And the single, I mean, there were sections of the race where another one of these like big triangle, like warning signs on like the map route that I had downloaded. I was like, oh, it's no big deal. But thank goodness I actually had the route on my Garmin, because the only way I knew I was like actually still on the route was that I had the Garmin. So I saw the line and just followed the line. But I mean, I would just be going through a giant field.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, there was no indication that I was on a trail or anything, unless somebody had gone a little before me and I could see their bike track.
Yeah.
Going through the grass. But that, I mean, that's not because I was not prepared for that appropriately. Yeah. That's because I didn't think it would actually be like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I made it the first day, 135. I mean, that's the most I've ever done. Plus gravel.
That's intense.
And then that was 10,000 feet of climbing. At a bike shop that was a sponsor, they let me sleep on the porch. So I just brought my bivvy.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm going to be ultra light for all this climbing. The bivvy, I hate the bivvy. I do not recommend the bivvy.
The bivvy's just like a thing you just like slide into or something, right?
It's more like an emergency situation. It's like a sleeping bag with a mosquito net over it, but it's not even like a sleeping bag. It's more like a thin layer of material.
Okay.
That's like a cocoon.
Okay.
But I hate the bivvy because the bivvy does not really keep you warm. And I didn't bring a blanket. I brought like an emergency blanket, but the emergency blankets, if you've ever used an emergency, it's just like a thin, almost like aluminum foil material.
I've seen them. I've seen that though. Yeah.
And the issue with the bivvy is that mosquitoes actually eat me through the bivvy. So if the bivvy is like touching my skin, the mosquitoes will like swarm and like eat through the bivvy, and like it's just miserable. So I kind of slept for a few hours in the bivvy on this porch. Like I was just laying on a porch.
Yeah.
And then woke up, and I don't know how I finished that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere, and if I had had cell phone service, or if a car had driven by and said, "Do you need a ride?" I would say, "Yes, please take me home right now." Oh my God.
Sounds intense.
But yeah, survived.
But you doing 2 or 3?
2.
Would you do it again?
I don't know. I'm not going to say no, I'll never do that again. But I remember how that second day made me want to quit so much.
Yeah.
That I'm so proud of myself, but also like,
you know what it's like.
I don't know.
Yeah. Have you done any other extremely difficult rides that were like really difficult that maybe you question whether you do it again? Or is that like the top of the list there?
That was the most challenging thing I've ever done.
Okay.
I don't know how many like crits I'll ever do again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's like certain situations where I would definitely do one. And then there's like rides and races that I prefer over others, but there aren't any that I think to myself, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Except I hate to say it, maybe Thunder Ridge, just because I'm not like a sustained climbing person, and that mountain really hurt.
Oh,
like so I'm gonna hesitate.
Wait.
That one.
You have done it, or you?
I have.
Okay.
was in a very, very dark place. And Catherine can attest to this, and Jan can attest to this. I was like, don't talk to me. For like a solid 10 miles, they were like, don't talk to Jess. Yeah. I mean, it was very well organized, but I don't know. I don't know if I would choose to do that.
The mountain is the mountain, no matter what you bring or do. Like the mountain is still a mountain there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a very aggressive road bike position.
Okay.
And I don't do a lot of climbing on that bike. So the way that it worked the muscles, if I had done a lot of climbing on the road bike, it wouldn't have hurt in the same way. Like I'd done a lot of climbing on my gravel bike.
Okay.
But yeah, everybody's like, oh, but this will be such an event for you, and you've trained so much. It was such a different kind of day for me. Yeah. It just reminded me that I can't do whatever just because I'm fit. You know what I mean? I can't just go out and do whatever I want to do and not expect it to be really, really hard.
Yeah. Even doing it at the speed you're expecting, it's just difficult. Like it's just, you're going up a mountain no matter what. Did you do the 75, the 100?
I did the 100.
Okay. Oh, okay. You're good then.
I really enjoyed actually the part after the mountain, like the rollers.
Oh yeah, then that's fine.
That was really fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
You just did a mountain, like it's clearly
impressive. I love rolling terrain. It was wonderful.
I remember at one of the rest stops after the mountain, I think I was talking to one of the people there at one of the rest stops. He was like, "Oh yeah, like there's a steep hill here. It's like you cross some train tracks, and then like there's a steep hill." I was like, "If it's not a mountain." Who cares? Like, and it was slightly steep. You come up the train, but like I knew it was going to end. Like it was no like sustained. Like,
oh my God!
Sustained climb.
The fact that I was halfway. I didn't really know how long this climb was. I was about halfway up, and then like Henry turns to me and goes, "You're halfway there." I almost cried. I like almost tears. I was like, "Don't talk to me right now." Like I almost cried because I didn't realize there was that much left.
Oh my God. Okay, you really did just sign up. He's like, I'll just figure it out when you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's a way to do your event. The recommendation is to like look at the route, right? Just a little.
There's a trend that happens in my cycling life. Right?
I'll just figure it out when I get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Any states you'd like to ride in? Like, is there any events you've heard of that you'd like to still do here or anywhere?
I did a little bit of touring in Colorado and love to go back. I would like to ride more in California. That's where my parents live. Oh, nice. I think that would be fun. And then I'd love to do more international travel. I did the Turismo travel in Italy.
Yeah.
That they did with Sweet Spot. That was really fun.
Nice. Okay. I haven't even put international on the list. Like, I need to ride in a few more states before I'm like, I need to leave the country with the bike. So you've ridden overnight. The question of like, what's the longest you've been in do you go shopping in your kit? Like you finish a ride, do you like go in the store? Do you like make sure you go home and change? Like,
I am not going to go in a store with my kit on because usually I don't need to go to the store.
Okay.
And I would rather not.
Okay.
If I'm going to a brewery after a ride, okay. Sure. I'll sit in my kit for a little bit. It's also different at a brewery than if I go into a Kroger.
True. Seem a little less out of place.
Yeah. Or I will go to a bike shop with my kit on.
Clearly fine.
That's about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't mean like going to JCPenney to go buying dress shirts or something like that. Like the grocery store, I think, like emergency stuff, the grocery store, I think, is about as far as anybody should really be. Like I need to get groceries before I go home kind of thing. So thought I'd ask. Racing. We talked about your snacks and your data. Bike packing. No mountain biking?
No, doesn't appeal to me.
Okay.
I've never had a situation where the invitation has opened up in a way that is convenient.
Okay.
I don't have a mountain bike. I do. So I have done quite a bit of tame single track on my gravel and cross bike.
Okay.
I like doing it for skill work.
Sure. Okay.
Gotten into a little bit of trouble with it every now and then. But mostly when I get cocky.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I could totally do this pump track.
Seems
maybe
like it might
not.
be often.
Maybe not that fast. But I don't want to buy another bike just to do single track on the mountain bike.
Okay.
I also don't really love the mountain biking trails that are close by.
Okay.
And if I'm going to drive to a place to ride my bike, I would rather do gravel.
Okay. All right. You wear glasses. Do you also wear when you ride? Do you wear contacts?
I have prescription sunglasses.
Really? Okay. Who'd you get them from?
Oakley.
Really? Okay. Well, that's interesting. So I wear contacts. My vision is not great at all, which is also why I didn't try to do any mountain biking. But I think about if I do bike packing, how does that work with taking the contacts out at night? Because I don't want to ride with glasses. And I don't. How bad is your vision? Like, could you ride without the glasses?
I cannot read signs without my glasses.
Okay. Do you think you read your bike computer?
So I can read things close to me.
Okay.
But I can't see things far away very well. It would not be safe for me to ride with other people without my glasses on.
Okay.
If I forgot them
and
was riding by myself and I knew I didn't need to read the road signs, I could see obstacles in front of me. But I wouldn't recommend it for myself or feel like that was a good idea.
Okay.
And I have astigmatism, so I don't want to deal with the contacts thing. Mm-hmm. And I also I'm kind of cheap. I don't want to go to the eye doctor every year and pay for a prescription to get anyway. Yeah. So I have my prescription sunglasses and I have prescription clear glasses.
Okay.
And I have lost my prescription sunglasses on a ride before.
Okay.
An epic the death climb ride with some guys.
Okay.
And they were too dark. So my riding glasses used to be a much darker, brownish black lens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then I would do these gravel rides and it's so shady that they would be too dark. So I'd take them off for a little bit in the shady sections. Mm-hmm. And it bounced out of my pocket one day. So I ended up getting... now I have sunglasses that are the rose color, and they actually work really well for if it's bright or if it's shady.
Okay, nice.
So I like those.
Okay. I have a pair of Smith Attack Max. I don't think they make them anymore, but photochromatic. Mm-hmm. And I wear those all the time. And I love it because I'll occasionally do a morning ride and it's dark. But I wear them all the time because the same thing. You go I don't like riding in the woods, riding on the road, and it freaks me out a little bit when you're riding in the woods and the light's coming through the trees. Mm-hmm. So then you look down the road and you may not see the shade that would come from seeing a hole in the ground. And that would cause me issues with the darker shades of that, which are great. So now I wear the photochromatic ones all the time, and it is fantastic. They work well even in bright daylight. But I don't know if they make those in prescription.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, mine's a trail specific lens, and it might be photochromatic or something that's a different kind that does a similar thing where it pulls out the contrast.
Oh, okay. So you're going to do Stormy Thunder Ridge again next year. Yeah. I will let Paula know. We've got another person who's committed to going. You can do the 75, which it still doesn't matter. You're still doing the mountain.
The only part I don't want to do is the mountains.
Yeah, it's an ordeal. It is an ordeal. Okay. So no mountain biking. Unlikely getting a mountain bike. Cliff bars. What do you use put in your bottles? What do you drink? You just
whatever I have around. I'm really not picky. I like having calories. Okay. Gatorade is fine.
Okay. Are you liquid Gatorade or powdered Gatorade? I point out here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that saves a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the powder stuff. I think I might have covered a lot here. You're still going to keep racing?
Absolutely.
Okay. You've won some races. I didn't ask about winning races. As well as participating in them. You've actually won some races. Podium, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was your first race you won? You got first place. Do you recall? Or has it just been that many?
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe Bryan Park. I did a lot of them though. Mm-hmm. And like getting first place isn't even, it's not something that isn't something to be proud of, but it's not necessarily the most memorable kind of race is the race that you do well at.
Okay.
So my first cross race ever was Charm City.
Okay.
I don't know if you know.
I do not know of Charm City.
So
Charm City is a place, not just the name of the race.
It's both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charm City race. Okay.
So Charm City Cross, it's a UCI race. So the cool thing about the UCI races is after the amateur races, the pros race.
Okay.
So you can stay and hang out and like watch some big names, do some amazing things.
Nice.
And Brian Ezell and Sharon Leary, the year that 2018, they were like, you should totally try cross racing. I was like, what's that? And they're like, you can have this bike. Let's try it out. And I was like, okay. So literally, okay. Brian drove me to Charm City. Sharon gave me her bike as an hour before the race starts. They're trying to show me how to like put the bike on my shoulder so I can like carry it.
Okay.
Like, this is how you ride a cross bike. This is how you get off a cross bike. Like, okay. I mean, it was incredible. That year they had some kind of plumbing issue and there was a pipe that burst. Okay. And water was like pouring out over the course. It made this huge mud pit, which was like fun pit for me. I feel like I fell in it a couple, like it was just covered in mud. And it was so hard. They hire a scaffolding company to build flights of stairs. Okay. And so if you can imagine a ramp on one side and flights of stairs on the other. Yeah. And then a flat at the top. Yeah. So it's like a flyover / a flight of stairs. Yeah. You have to like run up the flight of stairs, remount, and then you go down the ramp. Yeah. It's huge. Yeah. And by lap 5, I was just dying. I couldn't even like unclip from my bike at the end of that race, but it was so memorable. I mean, I don't even know what place I got. Like, it didn't matter. Right. And then I kept doing it. I can't believe I kept doing it. And then I did have a little bit of success. Fell in love with DC Cross. Okay. And then was like, I really want to do a DC Cross. This year I finally like got on the podium for DC Cross, which was amazing. Nice. But I actually did not have as good a race experience getting a podium than not getting a podium. Okay. Because I beat myself up for not winning. Like, I got third. Yeah. And I was like a pouty third like, my husband was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I really had to change my attitude. Yeah. And remind myself that when it comes to a podium, it's also about your competition. Okay. And that's true. Yeah. The other women there that day did amazing. Yeah. And so like getting first place isn't necessarily, it's a great motivation. Sure. and it continues to be a motivation for me, but it's not necessarily like the best races or the most fun races or the most memorable ones are like my highest ranking races. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't say I'm glad that you had a pouty moment, right? But I think we do have to, not have to worry about getting PRs all the time on all the rides, that kind of thing. And, I think we all end up having that moment of like, you know what, I actually don't need to get a PR. I don't have to do the best on every single ride. It just has to be enjoyable, kind of thing. Least favorite ride, or was that the Grusk ride?
Grusk was not my least favorite. Okay. That was amazing. It was adventure. That was most savage, not least favorite.
Okay.
I don't have like a least favorite ride. I love riding my bike.
Stormy of Thunder Ridge?
Oh, I wouldn't call that my least favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, because there are like moments of that ride that I loved.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's not an event or race or day that I can think about that I have negative feelings or wouldn't do it again ever. Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. Thought I'd ask. I believe I think I'm in the same boat where none were like, that was the worst day ever. It just became, that was more of an adventure than expected. It's usually
I was on my bike. Yeah. Like, that's amazing. Yeah.
Okay. I think I covered like everything here. The racing, the different bikes, you starting from reading a book, which is definitely different than others. Have you read more books about cycling?
Yeah, I went on a whole
binge of
Kindle
books.
binge of every cycling memoir, some better than others. Yeah.
Do you have any to recommend?
I'd have to look back at titles.
Okay. So there was a combination of memoirs, of people's riding events and things like that, mostly.
Yeah, a lot of memoirs of people riding around the country or riding around the world in different countries. There was one that was specific to a woman who was riding through Portugal.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I want to ride through Portugal. The memoir wasn't that good or anything, but I like how reading the different memoirs inspires me to maybe think about a different country that I hadn't thought would be cool to ride through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Books take you to different places. Jessica, I think I'd like to thank you for your time, and for sharing a bit of your impulsiveness of just doing things in the cycling world. So that's great. I appreciate your time, and sharing your story.
Thank you.